Hey there, welcome back to Reddit Stories, Cookie Edition. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more Reddit stories. Second D-Day this past weekend. Lost and stuck in pain. I spent my childhood fantasizing about a life mate, someone who would be with me forever, someone who would be there for me come hell or high water. What I believed I discovered was that and more. She made me laugh and made me optimistic about the future. I believed I could be and achieve more than I had ever done before. The passion and romanticism were unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. 5 years later, I experienced D-Day, which I believed would be the worst day of my life. I discovered that she had many lovers during the duration of her relationship. I didn't even capture her. She confessed because her guilt had gotten the best of her. She begged pardon and vowed to do better in the future. I was at a loss for words, and our church family pressed me to forgive her. That if I forgiven her and showed her God's redemptive love, she would be able to repent and God would restore our marriage. For the first year, my life seemed like a living nightmare, but I persevered. I welcomed her back into my bed, but I never used it against her, never whined about my suffering, and never attempted to make her feel worse. My priest told me that it was my responsibility as her husband to consider how she felt, how difficult it must have been to confess, and so forth. But with a lot of patience and effort, I eventually got through. When I requested for therapy, she made me feel bad, so we had to do it all on our own. It took 3 years for us to be able to have, without being repulsed and ashamed, although I never turned her down since it's my responsibility as a husband. She wanted children as soon as she confessed. I informed her that I couldn't go there just yet. She said that she understood and that she would wait as long as I needed. She complained a month later that it was taking too long. I was blamed for dragging things out and delaying down the healing process. After being away for a time, I asked her directly this weekend whether she'd been cheating again. She hesitated a long time before saying yes. I inquired whether she wanted a divorce, and she responded no, she wants to work things out. She did concede, though, that she wouldn't blame me if I left her, and that I wouldn't be able to get over it anyhow. Even if I just got an hour of sleep owing to the adrenaline and discomfort in my chest, I still have to go to work and keep a straight face. I'm hardly able to function as a human being. I seldom ever weep. Even the first time she confessed, I only cried twice. That is not something I'm proud of. It is just a truth. I've wept at least once a day since she told me. Every time I get back up and recover my breath, something comes to mind that I'll never be able to appreciate again because of her. I want to leave her, but I don't want to lose what I believed I had, even if it was never really mine. I was at a point where I didn't simply accept having children. I want them. Yearned for them, and if I ever have them again, it will be with someone else, someone with whom I have not spent the previous 11 years of my life, and I can't bear the thought of being with another person after it took me so long to trust the first time. Then the ache comes back, and I sobbed, and I lament the life I won't have. A number of my pals, one of whom went through the same situation a few years ago, have been assisting me. He continues telling me that it will hurt for a long time, but that it will get better. Logically, I acknowledge that is real, but it hurts so much that it's difficult to believe. Edit. A comprehensive update will follow shortly, but for now, I'd want to offer a few words. First and foremost, I am stunned by the outpouring of love you have all shown me. I was extremely affected by the numerous responses that were full of empathy, support, and wisdom. Second, I'd want to thank everyone for assisting me in gaining perspective. I actually thank God that we no longer have children. In addition, I have quit my church, looking for a new one. I told my family about it, and they've been quite supportive. Update 1. Many thanks to everyone. I know it's only been a week, and I know there will be many more ups and downs, but the previous time I went through this, I never considered asking for assistance or knowing where to seek. I fought for years and kept coming back to the same area. I post a lot on here, generally when I'm completely lost in the fog and unable to handle the agony. The most remarkable part, however, is that I always got precisely what I needed, plus so much more. So, here's the latest. I foolishly attempted to assist her in reconciling once again. She revealed her real colors by refusing to make a very modest concession because it would be cruel to her coworkers to need someone to change ships with her with just a week to prepare. She should consider herself quite fortunate to have gotten off so lightly. I was wounded and rejected, so I came to this sub and revealed all of my foolishness, pain, and weakness, and was supported, empathized with, called out on my BS, and continually given the obvious advice. She's not going to change, she doesn't care about me, and I need to go on. I called a lawyer to begin mediation, a legal method for divorce that may avoid going before a court, including a single lawyer. Saves time and money if it works. With the understanding that if my STBX drags her feet in any way, I would go directly to NC, file, and serve her. I informed my friends and family, and they have all been very supportive, much above my expectations. I'm going to get through this, and I can't thank you all enough for putting me on the correct track, because my chump was never going to do the right thing on his own. Clarification on mediation added. Update 2. So, there's some good news and some negative news. First, the bad news. I was tired and stumbled a little. In a recent article, I noted that we now live many hours apart for work, and that I invited her to come visit me so that we could talk things over. When she answered no, I began calling attorneys. I spent the weekend attempting to mentally and emotionally move on, only to be surprised a few days later when she came on my door, crying and desperate to make things work. I was at a loss for words and just allowed her in. Things went horribly wrong, alternated between hysterical bonding, really ugly fighting, and pretending nothing was wrong. She could explain a few more things, and I eventually found out what she was up to during those weeks we were apart. Mostly poor actions all around that sent her on a downhill spiral that was much worse than the affair. She had gotten to the point where neither she nor I respected her judgments. We found a terrific counselor who would help us process the experience while expressly not assuming we could work it out, and who in fact totally supported my announcing we were done if that was my choice. She has to return in a week and a half, and due to legal considerations, the therapist says she can only continue treating us if my wife moves with me, not licensed in multiple states. So, reluctantly, you agreed to let her leave her job and relocate with me. She just needed to hold out for a few days since I was coming home for the holidays and 5 days after she departed, so she only needed to hold out for a few days and we could start working on things. She waited 3 days before canceling arrangements to chat with me in order to attend a party with a group of pals she allegedly no longer likes or talks to. She believes it's okay since she brought a person I know with her. I am enraged and declare that she has messed up. She asks if we can chat in the morning, and I tell her it depends totally on how the night goes before hanging up. She contacts me right afterwards, and I block her so I can attempt to sleep. Had an important day of work ahead of me. At 9 a.m., I receive a call from my family inquiring why my wife can't reach me. I am enraged and attempt to contact her. She doesn't respond. I begin to suspect something is wrong. She's signed into her phone accounts on my laptop, I see. I look at her GPS. She left the party when she said she would and went home with her buddy as planned. Then, an hour later, I returned to the apartment and remained all night. When I challenged her the following day, she lied again until I demonstrated that I was correct. She attempted to accuse me of violating her privacy, but I refused to let her shift the topic. I told her that this demonstrated without a shadow of a doubt that I could never trust her again. She wants another opportunity, but I'm sure I can give it to her. Right now, I'm staying with some extremely fantastic friends who are assisting me in setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. Hopefully, there will be no such blunders in the future. I was ashamed to update since I had been doing so great, and then botched it. Back to the divorce crusade. Final update. I know I've screwed up here and there since I discovered her cheating, and the comment section on my posts, not to mention my DMS, clearly demonstrate a segment of this community that is more than happy to call me out for my faults. But I've made primarily good improvements. I went away, leaving her behind. She spent the first several months pleading with me for another opportunity, and although I had moments of weakness, I can show it. I was successful in increasing the space between us. We haven't communicated much in the last 2 months. There are a number of things that require some limited communication, which could be done through lawyers, but is easier to do over text. We stopped arguing, she stopped attempting to reclaim me, and she even let me keep the great bulk of marital assets. My family originally backed her, then gathered enough information to support me, and have now mainly returned to believing that our reunion is God's plan. They try to say things like, "Oh, she's so sorry about everything," and she truly has changed, but I've established very clear limits and don't allow them go on about it, even though it's really disheartening to feel unsupported through this process. For a long time, my friends were incredibly supportive, but as with any loss, people on the outside become bored of it and want to move on to better pastures. I don't bring it up on purpose, but when it happens, they primarily want me to be pleased because, as they perceive it, I've won in some manner. They reason it because I'm receiving so much monetary value out of the marriage, as well as the distance I requested, and I'm in a new area that I've desired for a long time. Why shouldn't I be celebrating? But to be honest, I'm simply sad right now. Most days, I can keep myself busy enough that I don't notice, but eventually I reach a wall and have to confront my thoughts and my circumstances, and I break down. I couldn't run away from it any longer and had a nice long weep this morning. I now have everything I've worked for over the previous 10 years or so. I've marked numerous significant things off my bucket list in the previous year, and now that I have everything I wanted or close to it, I'm absolutely depressed since I have no one to share it with. I have difficulty establishing new acquaintances because I am skeptical of everyone, even when there is no logical reason for me to be. I don't think I'll have much luck with dating in my mid-30s, and everything I read says I should wait at least 12-24 months anyway to avoid ending up in the same position. I've scheduled an appointment with a therapist for next Tuesday. It will be my first in roughly 3 months, owing to my relocation and the time it takes to enroll in insurance, locate a provider, and so on. I'm hoping it will help soon, but it seems so far away, even if it's just a few steps away. I honestly despise my life right now, since there doesn't seem to be any way to live the life I want to live. I wanted what I thought I had, but even if I returned her, which I would not do, it wouldn't be the same. I didn't intend for this to be so depressing. I simply wanted to let folks know how it happened. Hopefully, by Tuesday, I'll be able to be a little less pessimistic. Thanks for watching my video. Make sure to like and subscribe for more Reddit stories.